Hello and welcome to Tamriel Unchained episode 2. This week we got Guild Summit day 2 to cover, and as well as some topics about day 1 that we missed in the last episode. So if you haven't done Tamriel Unchained yet, basically all we do is we provide you with all the information you need about the Elder Scrolls Online, from updates to insider information, things you might not see on the forums, because, we got insider information. So before we get into all the fantastic information this week, let's introduce our show host this week. So to my left, or right, because I don't know what direction I'm going, we have LumiTheLock.
Yo, how's it going, guys? So my name is LumiTheLock, GM for Gamebreaker Nation in SO. I'm crazy. Yeah. And
I'm not going to touch the crazy one. So we're just going to go.
Apparently, you already touched the crazy one earlier.
No, that's awkward.
We weren't supposed to talk about that.
It happens pre-show. It never happens live. So below Lumi, we have Shaddoe, who you might recognize from another Gamebreaker episode. I believe, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm on the Republic, and I've been on Twimo a few times. I also write for Gamebreaker, believe it or not, and as well as Massively and a few other places. Yeah. I also did. Well, I created for Massively. I created the Tamriel Infinium, which is the column that for Elder Scrolls on and for where was I? Tamriel Infinium for for Massively, which is the column for Elder Scrolls Online.
So if you didn't understand that, he made something for another website for Elder Scrolls.
It's Massively. It's a professional website, people.
Hey, Larry, just for you, bro. Just for you.
Oh, see? That's mine. I made that. I made that.
So, for anybody who doesn't know, that was Engwar.
Yep, I'm Engwar, officer of the GBN over there in ESO, and you can follow me on Twitch and whatnot. I just been playing for like ever, 13 years MMOs. Have a great time. It's a lot of fun.
13 years doesn't seem like that long, but when you look back, I mean, I've been playing since like Ultima, so yeah, it's 1998. So it's
I came in Dark Age of Camelot. Dark Age of Camelot was my first MMO, and that was so much fun. I think that's why I'm in love with the PvP over in ESO.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Very similar. Both of them.
Very.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's a game that can compete with Dark Ages. I mean, anybody that played Dark Age, there's this holy grail of PvP, and I mean, Elder Scrolls Online it competes with it, but I don't know, man. You always remember your first, right?
Always. Always.
Well, it's
you always
true,
remember
though,
your first PvP.
Not even, okay. Let's go to the next topic.
Moving on.
Come on.
No, because that's going to go left field, and I know how you guys act. So let's just carry on. So this week we're going to talk about day 2 of the Guild Summit, which was gameplay and itemizations, dungeons and trials, and the justice system. But before we get into all that, I want to touch on something that we talked about last week, which was the PvP system. And one topic we didn't touch on was the new skill abilities that they're going to be putting into the PvP tree, so the assault tree and the support tree. So they're going to be putting in new active abilities as well as, I believe, a passive. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it is a passive for each one. But one of the abilities that they're thinking about putting in, and I really would like to get your guys' feedback on this, is it's a massive AoE that does a lot of damage, but has a high cost time. So it's kind of like a risk versus reward system where you have to sacrifice that like 2.5 seconds or 3 seconds or whatever the cast time is in order to do this much damage. And I mean, if you've done Cyrodiil PvP, you know how many people there are, and there's going to be interrupts. One, do you think this is a viable thing in that type of PvP situation? And two, is there already enough AoE?
The situation I could see it being useful in is actually in a defense of a siege. Like, you're up on the ramparts and throwing it down on top of the people that are below. Like, if a bunch of people are about to make a breach in there right at the gate when it opens up. You just make sure it's charged and thrown down right as the gate opens up. That'd probably be the best time I could technically see it using. Otherwise, yeah, there's so much interrupt, there's so much AoE already. You just begin rolled over all the time.
Yeah, I think if you're out on the field standing alone, if you don't have good support behind you, yeah, you're going to get stunned to stun lock you down, so you're not going to be able to cast anything. So,
How long is the cast time on it? Did they say how long the cast time was on it?
They never said how much. They just said it's going to be an AoE that's going to do a crap load of damage. It's essentially going to be a game changer in certain situations. And just as we were talking about this, something popped out in my head, and the only real viable person that could cast this is someone that's in stealth. And then, really, is that a fair option? Should you be able to cast
stealth
this thing
nuke?
while stealth?
Nuclear launch detected.
Like, that'll be pretty nasty.
Well,
Yeah,
as it's going, would you be stealth or would you come out of stealth?
Well, I would assume you could do it while stealth, because you can do bow abilities while
Yeah.
stealth.
Yeah, so it would basically, you could just throw it, like, crouch up, throw it down, and then just disappear. So, like, Night Blades would be perfect with that. With the cloak, they could just keep on dropping it.
so people would scream OP on that left and right, I think.
Yep.
You could do it stealthed.
So you think that if something like that was to be implemented the way they say it, if you hit that button, you're automatically popped out of stealth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there should be
I
this
would think
giant,
so.
like, bouncing arrow over your head going, look at me, I'm going to kill you.
this guy! Kill this guy!
Well, that was just kind of like, and stuff when I was making the joke of nuclear launch detected in StarCraft, you always had, if you basically, it'd be across the entire screen, nuclear launch detected, and you're like, oh crap, I need to find this guy now. And you had a while to find him, but if you didn't find him, you're screwed.
But it's a good question, though, Ryan. Is there too much AoE in the game already? Because do we even want to touch on impulse groups at all? I mean,
Oh,
do we
God.
really want to go there?
Well,
So-
I mean, honestly, what's your opinion on that? I mean, we've all done PvP. We all know the impulse groups, and a good group can combat an impulse group using proper negates and other abilities. So it is possible, but I would say
You gotta
90%
have the makeup in the group, though, or else
You do. That's 90% of the groups I would say are mostly pugs or random people that just want to run around like lemmings.
right. Which we have the communication problem as it is. If you're you're running a large group like that, and the pugs aren't listening to you.
Chat bubbles are coming to 1.5. That should fix the communication problem.
Totally. Because chat bubbles fix everything.
Right.
So you could RP as you're PvPing. Because that's the
I'm
most
about to
important part.
nuke you to the next level.
Oh, you gotta do things like that.
Just on the topic of the impulse. Impulse is getting a tweak. They're going to be making it. If you've played Dark Age before, you're going to be very familiar with the point blank area of effect.
Oh yes.
So the closer you are to the person casting it, the more damage you will take. The further you are, the less damage, which I think is exactly what needed to happen. I mean, it just makes so much sense. It changes the gameplay completely. Like, you don't just run in going spam, 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 spam. It's all about positioning. It's all about herding people together into a circle now instead of just running and blinking and
Yeah, so the people that are outside of your 10-meter radius aren't getting the same amount of damage as the people that are right up there in your face. So
Someone's asking in chat and stuff like about the actual thing. It's a destruction staff ability where basically you just kind of raise your staff up in the air and it does this big just kind of AoE. And what it's the main tactic a lot of times for PvP right now for a lot of groups is you'll get about 24 people and they'll all just basically go standing on pixelated to each other and just kind of run in a circle together, just spamming that one button over and over. And that's essentially what the impulse groups are, is they're just spamming one button over and over. And it's I'm sorry to say, like, I love PvP, but it requires really no skill at all. Then they've added the bats form into the rotation.
I'm actually into the no skill PvP. That's
That's why you play Star Wars.
I'm all about the no skill PvP.
oh, okay.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
Yeah, you see that game poster behind him? That explains everything.
I got a question. One other question for you for PvP, Garbrac, because this is
Yeah.
one thing that's been brought up a lot and stuff, and I actually forgot to mention it when we were heading to the summit for the AP gains and like how long it takes to just move up the ranks in order to get these things. It takes a lot of times forever, and then if you switch to an alt, it takes it sucks to restart. do they ever have a plan of like doing a catch-up mechanic if you decide to switch to a different character and go through the thing, so you don't have to drag on forever again?
I can't see something like that happening only because of, well, I can't say this, but because of what's going to be happening in a future patch. They're going to be changing forward camps to require a rank to purchase them. So I can't see them allowing you to just switch alts to either obtain that same rank, so you can just go in and purchase them. It kind of ruins the gameplay a little bit, especially if you're taking that non-vet character. And if you're able to purchase forward camps, it changes the gameplay or changes that specific mechanic and kind of circumvents that lock.
I like the one thing that they talked about, and I believe it would be an even bigger game changer, is I believe at one point they made a comment of potentially eliminating forward camps, and that would, all the tactics for the entire game would change in Cyrodiil, because all of a sudden you can't really have those Zerg groups that just throw their bodies at the thing just and spam forward camps. That tactic would no longer work at all.
Mm-hmm. Like there was I think we talked about this in our first episode, was like what to do about forward camps and stuff like that, and we had a large debate about what to do and like reducing the radius on forward camps. You can only use that forward camp if you're in that radius, or ultimately just removing forward camps and forcing people to run. I mean, personally, I would love a campaign
between
like
the keeps, so they can still get around pretty easily because there's a transit system between keeps. It would just limit as it keeps under siege, being able to just throw bodies at it continuously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a good mechanic if you do it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it a little bit more fair for everyone, right? Because I mean, if you look at a campaign now, like for example, why can I not remember the name of the 30-day campaign?
Thornblade.
Yes, thank you. Thornblade. If you look at Thornblade, almost every keep you own has a forward camp in it. I mean, really, does that really show what that forward camps are supposed to do? It just seems like it's circumventing the aspect of what a forward camp is supposed to be. It's very similar to block and how all you do is hold block now in PvP. Like it removes the aspect of block that is supposed to be a reactive ability, and you're supposed to hit it every once in a while when you need it. Oh crap, I'm going to get hit. Let's block it. Now it's just hold block.
Well, then there's also the term of blood gating that people use all the time. Like, we'll have people run all the way across deep into MA territory, go like a keep that's right next to things, put a forward camp, then everyone will go and suicide at a keep that's close by and bloodgate all the way to that keep that's incredibly far away and start the siege on that keep. So you're basically like, teleportation is coming to Tamriel.
Yeah, right.
You just take the forward camp.
Yeah. Engwar, you mentioned, or was it Lumi that mentioned it, the bat swarms?
Yep.
How do you guys feel about PvP abilities being used in PvE environments, such as, I know bat swarm really isn't a PvE ability, but it gets used a lot more in PvE than it really does in PvP.
I use the heck out of it, yeah.
It's a nice ultimate.
So, like, what do you guys feel about someone going into PvP, grabbing Purge, grabbing Barrier, grabbing Caltrops to make the PvE events easier? Do you think that should be allowed, or do you think PvP abilities should be locked to Cyrodiil?
Well, I think that they do provide a nice bonus to the different things. Like, it's what SO was going for at the start, where it was the synergies that they're looking for between the two different sides, and that's like also the buffs in the campaign. They wanted the two sides to work together to help build a community. I see Engwar shaking his head.
Yeah, Engwar's shaking his head over there. I gotta hear this. What's up?
I'm gonna have to be the antagonist on this one. I think those need to be locked into Cyrodiil and only open when you walk into Cyrodiil. If you're gonna spend your skill points on those, and they're for PvP, they were designed for PvP, they want you to use them in PvP, that's where they should be used.
I actually agree in general. In general, if there is a PvP ability, this is actually across the board to pretty much whatever MMO you play, because when things are balanced, when a developer takes class balance, takes ability balance, and that kind of thing, if there is a PvP ability, that is usually not included in any kind of PvE balancing, and so therefore, if you mix those things up, it's going to mess with one or the other. And like if you have a PvE ability that is, just totally bonkers and does things to does things to bosses that you wouldn't, that are meant to just to that specific boss, and then you can apply that to a player too. That's going to mess things up because things are not balanced that way. Make things easier on the devs, and or the devs should make things easier on themselves and balance. If they've got a PvP ability, balance it for PvP. Don't try to work it into PvE because that'll just mess everything up.
So, would you guys on the same fence as to like the Cyrodiil, or not the Cyrodiil, but like the Elder Scrolls buffs and the Emperor buffs and stuff like that? That also, you also agree should be locked to Cyrodiil and not be able to be used in trials?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because one of the things that also, as a person that loves to raid and everything, it's a very unfair advantage at different times. If, hey, like right now we have the 3 buff campaigns. I believe we're back to 3 again, where each faction has a buff campaign. But if we actually limited the campaigns where only one faction managed to control a buff campaign, that faction would automatically have an advantage over the other 2 sides in PvE because they had to have all the buffs, where everyone else would be fighting on the one server for the different things. So it would be causing issues in PvE. It would be causing issues in PvE. Right now, each side has a buff campaign, which I want to try to get a group to attack the buff campaigns, but it would actually cause this. It would cause disstability in the leadership boards for PvE.
And well, and also on top of it, you now have to balance towards that. Like your group, even as a raid leader or whatever, you have to balance towards those abilities if they're viable in PvE. You have to. I mean, because if somebody comes along, or somebody in your guild or whatever, or in your raid group comes along that it has a certain ability that is more viable than somebody else, well, who are you going to kick from the group? The one with the viable ability, or one just the regular Joe?
Yeah.
Exactly. So in the upcoming patch of 1.5x, whatever it's going to be called when it hits release, we have City of Ash, Veteran City of Ash. And when I was at the Guild Summit, we got to see what this dungeon really is, and it's it's fire. Like from start to finish, it's fire.
It's a vampire hell. Is what it is.
It is a vampire
come
hell.
on. It's called City of
Knowing
Ash,
that,
vampire.
do you guys still agree that PvP abilities in PvE just should not agree? I mean, City of Ash is going to be no joke. If you're a vampire, having Barrier is going to be a lifesaver. Having Purge is going to be huge. I mean, even the scroll buffs of that added health bonus is going to be massive. Well, I don't know if any of you are vampires, but I foresee a... All right, so we got 2 vampires. Are you going to miss those abilities? If I know you guys said that you don't want them, but aren't you going to miss them?
I'm just going to alter my gameplay, or alter my skill set, or alter my enchantments, or alter my armor.
Deal with how you play the game and stuff. You got to change your game style.
You're going to have to get to a point, maybe, okay, if I know I'm going to go and do that dungeon, okay, well, this layout I have here, this armor set right here, this weapon set right here is what I'm going to need to take with me. I mean, yeah, that's kind of a crappy way to go at it, but if I want to partake into that, that's what I choose to do. It's my choice.
And you're all kind of on the same boat as that?
I mean, I think when you choose, being a werewolf, choose being a vampire or not, you know what you're getting into.
The consequences of your actions.
Yeah, exactly. You know what you're getting into, and so yeah, you go with it. It's just like picking any class, right? It's just like picking any other skill tree or whatever. You know what you're getting into when you pick those trees. So you accept the consequences.
Well, I know WoW has had this debate that we're talking about right now for years and stuff, and one of the things that they had actually tossed out was, or that they tossed around, not out, was the idea of designing each and every single ability so it has different effects for in PvP and PvE. Although, just personally looking at that would be so much of more work on their end in order to do it. But it is a concept that I've heard multiple games throw around. What do you guys think about that concept?
Mm.
I was like,
I think you're on your own on that one there.
Well, I'm saying it's a concept stuff. I'm saying is the concept interesting? Implementation is always where things start to differ.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I I don't know what to say to that one.
No opinion.
Yeah. But let's jump back to City of Ash. So City of Ash, Veteran City of Ash is going to be new in 1.5x. It's all fire. It looks unbelievably difficult, which I think is great. But what do you guys think of Dungeons and Trials so far? Do you think they are up to par to what an Elder Scrolls Dungeon and Trial should be? Do you think there should be a change? Like what when you first heard of Elder Scrolls Online, what did you expect Endgame to be? That's the question. Is what we have now what you had in your head?
Killing dragons.
You kill a Titan, which is a form of a dragon. Sort of. It's Molag Bal's creation of a dragon.
I honestly have no opinion here because my highest level character is a 44.
What are you doing here? Get out of here. All right, we need a new replacement for next episode.
And then Larry's going to try to be like,
No, but I mean, when I heard about, obviously the trial system coming on board and the veteran rank system and what's going to happen after you hit level 50 during launch, and I got all part of that, I don't think I envisioned that to be what I thought. They had to come up with something. I mean, if they're going to model this after every Elder Scrolls game there is, it's a single-player game or a non-linear version of it. So they had to create some sort of end game to give you to play when you reach that max level. Otherwise, it's going to be like every other MMO that has weak max end game content. People are going to grind their way up to max level and then unsub. See ya. So.
What I'd have to say is I think it does kind of have that bit of the Elder Scrolls feel, because in each dungeon you go into and each of the raids, like, because we've done multiple train days for Helra, but as you go through, there's the story that's going along as you progress. Like, you can see the story through the dungeon, the things you're doing, which were in Skyrim, like, as you went into the delves, you'd come across books or different things, and you encounter different things in these dungeons or delves that would present the story that is going on in this big giant world that would connect to things outside. Just kind of like if you go into the giant, the Craiglorn dungeons are really insanely tough. When we actually had a bunch of groups doing them yesterday.
They're not that hard. But the other two hosts here don't really know what's going. They don't even know what Craiglorn is, apparently.
No, I think, I mean, if I were to say what Endgame would look like in Elder Scrolls, whenever I first started reporting on it, first starting following it, and getting a handle on everything, is honestly it's nothing like what they gave us, which is one of the reasons why they've kind of upset me a little bit, because this doesn't feel like the end game. Doesn't feel like an Elder Scrolls game. It feels like kind of like any other MMO, to be perfectly honest. And this might be a good segue into our next segment here. But most of the justice system that they presented is a little bit closer to what I actually expected in a multiplayer Elder Scrolls game. Yep. Because with thieving and consequences to actions, those kinds of things. I mean, now granted, I can't put a bucket on somebody's head in order to steal in front of them like you can in Skyrim. But
maybe you can. We don't know yet.
Just a comment on that. They did say that they wanted to make it so we can move items within the world and place them wherever we want.
Excellent.
However,
buckets on the head.
However, it would be client side only, so nobody else would see it.
Oh, well, that's disappointing.
I understand it, but could you imagine how many people would be running around with buckets on their head and have to render all that?
A whole town would be full of bucket heads.
That would be rolling wheels of cheese.
Around.
I would be throwing tomatoes at random players. That's what I would be doing.
But here's the thing. They all have buckets on their heads, but then people are also probably going to be randomly killing them, so there goes the bucket. Oh, they're back again. I need to put a new bucket on the head. Dang it.
No, I just put buckets on their head and steal everything in town, and it'd be awesome.
So I want to pick your brain for a second, Shaddoe. You said that what we have now isn't what you envisioned for isn't an Elder Scrolls-ish game. Now,
it's not what I envisioned. Yeah, but go ahead.
Is that because there is no consequences to doing the trials, or like what would you? I really want to know what you foresaw as an Elder Scrolls endgame online.
Okay, so I mean, one of the things that kept Skyrim. There's a couple of things that kept Skyrim going in my mind. One of them was the mods, which I don't know how they would pull that off in an online game, to be perfectly honest. So I kind of, whatever. But the other thing is just exploring the world and part of it is thieving, getting good reputation with this group, getting bad reputation with this other group, and is from a PvE perspective. And granted, now that's all a single player thing, but that's kind of what I envisioned. I envisioned a little bit more back and forth within the world itself, and not a linear path. I mean, it would have been great to be able to go from one end of the map to the other end of the map and not have to worry about what your level is, just worry more about what your skill set is and that sort of thing. So those are the kinds of things that kind of bugged me. And now, granted, it does obviously spread. It gets a little less linear once you get to a certain level, but it's still a very set progression comparatively, and that's one of the things that really kind of bugged me overall as far as PvE progression is concerned. And I would have liked to have been able to go to Craglorn right at 50. That would have been would have been great.
The champion system, you're definitely looking forward towards the champion system. You think that's going to make this game a little bit more Elder Scrolls-ish?
The justice system actually would make it. That's part of. Okay, so if I were to take the systems that are in Elder Scrolls, specifically we can go with Skyrim because it's probably the most familiar with everybody. But the systems that are in Skyrim with thieving and reputation and those kinds of things that you see in that single player game, will translate that into a multiplayer game where players can pick a side. Players can be on the side of the law or be on the side of the outlaws. Either way, that's kind of what I envisioned as far as end game is concerned. And I don't want to even get into the economy side of it, but that was some of the other things that were kind of
essentially you'll be splitting each faction, you're saying, almost into additional factions as well. So each faction would split into 2 different factions. So you essentially have 6 factions in total.
Well, sort of. Well, I mean, not. It's not. I don't necessarily think it would have to be that linear to
are you thinking more like World of Warcraft's rep grinds, where if you did something for one clan, you would lose respect for the other clan?
Things along that line, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that. I mean, that would definitely be an interesting mechanic to the game if they added more, again, a big word, consequence to your decision. Like if you decide to faction with, I don't freaking know. This is where my ignorance of Elder Scrolls lore comes in.
Mages Guild.
Mages Guild. Well, I don't know who's the opposite of Mages Guild.
Fighters
Guild.
All right,
so something along that line.
Well, yeah. Say for example, you know what, that makes perfect sense. What if they made it so when you did the Mages Guild, you leveled up through the Mages Guild, but you didn't have access to the Fighters Guild abilities at the same time?
That would be awesome.
That would be amazing.
That would be great.
I mean,
those are the kind of consequences you guys want.
Yeah.
Sure. Ones that are going to make it last. Like you're going to make a choice, you're going to have to stick by that choice. That's how Skyrim was.
Yeah.
Well, that's how they kind of already have done with the vampires and the werewolves. You have to choose one or the other. Although people still want a third skill line for if you choose neither, because they feel like they're gimped from the passives.
What?
Yeah, I've talked to multiple people that have complained that, I want a buff for not choosing either side because I feel gimped. I'm like, have you seen how much damage we take from fire as a vampire? Yeah. It makes up for the stuff that we get.
Well, it's interesting that you guys say you want that choice, because when we're at the summit, we obviously talked about the justice system, and we discussed the outlaws and the enforcers. So the enforcers and the outlaws are both player-driven skill lines. You become an enforcer, you become an outlaw. You become either or. But we raised the question, okay, what happens if you're an outlaw or if you're an enforcer and then you confiscate an item but you keep it? Therefore, you have to no longer become an enforcer. That's just the way the system is. It makes sense. As an enforcer, you can't keep stolen items. But if you keep that item, should you be able to become an enforcer right away? because technically your reputation should be degraded because you are now flagged as a thief.
You mean if you took the item, because you can have items.
Yes. So
yeah,
say
you
for
can have
example
items.
you're an enforcer and you kill an outlaw, you confiscate his items, but instead of taking those items back to the enforcer tower and reaping the rewards from that, you keep it. So you are now no longer part of the enforcer team because you kept a stolen item, and you either choose to become an enforcer or an outlaw again. Should you be able to become an enforcer right away after being flagged as a thief?
I would say there should be some type of period where you have to wait, because like essentially a penance period, like.
So
I get. Okay, so I think, and one of the things they actually touched on during that summit was the amount of time, or the level of consequence to that specific action. Mm-hmm. If you went and you went on a murder spree, that's going to be different than if you stole an apple. That's going to. I think that there's quite a bit of difference in consequences here, and so I do think there are very poor towns that need those apples. Think about the children, but there is. I mean, there's definitely a level of consequences, and if you say stole an apple, yeah, absolutely, I think you should have to gain that rep back. I mean, whether that is okay, I'm sorry, I'll buy you off, which is one of the things they said they were considering. That's fine. But buying off for murder, I don't know if I feel right about that. That might be something you might have to actually do a little time for, if you in some form or fashion.
Well, didn't they say that there was going to be a thing of like clemency where you can get one free one per week or so?
Yeah, it all depends on the severity of your crime. Like you said, if you steal an apple, the guards are going to be like, okay, well, just don't do that again. But if you go murder Joe Smith in the freaking tower, and they're going to be like, well, you bastard, I'm going to come get you.
Yeah.
Well, if you mention no one saw you, then why would they care?
If they don't see you, that's a different story. But let's do a reverse role. So let's say you are an outlaw and you are well known for killing citizens of Tamriel. Should you be able to drop your outlaw skill line and instantly become an enforcer?
No.
There's
a couple of implications there, actually. I mean, obviously there's the RP implications, which don't make, as far as lore or realistic settings, as far as that's concerned, doesn't make a lot of sense for you to be an outlaw, a known murderer or whatever, and then all of a sudden now you're a cop. That doesn't make it doesn't work like that in real life. So there should be some sort of translation as far as the game is concerned as well. Mm-hmm. But I think that, however, that being said, it has been known for certain kinds of criminals to become consultants and whatnot for enforcers. So over time, it is definitely possible, I would think, for you to become an enforcer. So there has to be a time gap of some sort. But also in a PvP setting, since this is PvP that we're talking about, that means you can switch factions like that, and that is not good for PvP. If somebody can switch factions in a blink of an eye, that's not. Yeah. So no.
That's causing griefing, is what that's going to cause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, didn't they talk about in the thing that for the tabard, in order to engage, the enforcers, in order to engage in the PvP, you had to equip a tabard, and there was going to be a time delay for equipping it. Did they give a specific on how much looking for times? Because if you can even if it's in 30 seconds, you can, a lot of times, the best way that it would actually end up coming out is if you're an enforcer, okay, you're having to get your armor on, which is your tabard, and you're clunking on. But at the same time, you're typing in zone chat, hey, other enforcers, this guy's running this way down the road, go and get him.
Yeah, they never said what the time for switching your tabard on. Personally, I mean, if you're an enforcer, you should probably just have your tabard on at all times.
That flags you as PvP, though.
It does, but you're able to prevent crime almost anywhere you go.
Yeah, I mean, right? I guess it depends on what you want to do at specific times. I mean, if you're out questing or whatnot, and or gathering resources or whatever, you don't necessarily want to have your, be flagged for PvP because,
come on, that'd
they
be
can
fun.
they can gank you.
It's like I want that resource. Ugh.
I'm picking flowers. I'm just picking flowers.
To put it in your terms, Larry, how many people stayed overt during PvE operations in SWG just because they wanted to prove the fact that they could do it in front of your face?
If you want to do it, more power to you, but I'm not that guy.
Yeah, if I go enforcer, I'm not going to wear the tabard on the wrist. Or like if I want to do this, I'm like, okay, I'm going to equip and go out and have a good time. Otherwise,
you're challenging him. You're taunting him. You're like, come on, I know you still want to steal that apple so you can try and attack me.
although
Let's
I
go.
will admit on my main right now, Jim Moriarty, because his name is Jim Moriarty, I already have plans for him. Just comes out.
So what if they introduced, I don't know what you guys would think of this, but it would kind of go with the consequence system. What if they introduced an equal and opposite reaction to everything you do? So the Outlaws and the Enforcers would both have an experience bar. So let's say you both start at 0, right? If you steal something, you gain 5 experience points towards the Outlaws. But equal opposite reaction, you also lose 5 experience points for the Enforcers. So you can't just You can still switch, but you're not able to use the abilities until you're back to 0.
So it's kind of like a tip or crow.
Yeah,
I think that's interesting, although I wouldn't make it completely balanced. One of the best ways I've seen it done, again, back to SWG actually, is they had different factions, not just Empire and Rebels. They had all sorts of different kinds of factions that were kind of at war with each other. In fact, you could walk up to some like elite mobs because you had enough of their faction. You could walk right up next to them, even though they were red and they wouldn't attack you. So, but at any rate, the way they did it, it was an imbalance. So you would for every 1 point that you would gain towards one faction, you would actually lose 2 points the opposite direction. So
that makes sense. I mean, I think
So I would say I wouldn't necessarily say 2 to 1, but at least make it unbalanced so that switching makes it a little more difficult. It's a little more difficult to switch. It has to be a decided thing. You know what? I am no longer an outlaw. I have changed my ways. I am going to work as hard as I can to become an enforcer.
I like that idea.
I like the idea, but I know what a good chunk of the player base is going to say because they're just lazy. They're going to be like, okay, what we want is just this flip-flop every time and just do whatever we want to be with our friends. They're going to bring up the constant thing that always is, oh, but we want to be with our friends.
You're making a choice. You're making a choice.
But exactly what Lumi said is the exact same thing Paul Sage said when we suggested this to him, or a variation of this, is people want to be able to switch. And, I mean, I understand where he's coming from. There are those filthy casuals that do just want to be able to go do whatever they want when they want. But I really think a lot of the community for Elder Scrolls Online really wants these choices, these consequences to our choices. Like, if I decide to kill somebody, it should really affect what's going to happen to me.
I also think there's some merit to building alts as well. I'm an altaholic myself. I mean, I have so many alts, it's crazy. And I think there's some merit to that you get. Maybe if you're one of those people that like to switch around, build an alt. You know what? One alt is an enforcer, one alt is an outlaw, or whatever the factions happen to be. I mean, if the whole system changed around. But in this particular case, make one alt that's an outlaw, make one that's an enforcer. Yay! Everybody's happy. You know, it's going to take work. Really, what I think it boils down to. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm interrupting.
One of the consequences that, like, when I was listening to the thing, one of the most interesting concepts was the same thing that I believe it's Gratwood. There's a quest out there that I absolutely love, and I try to give it to people to torture, including Engwar, where what ends up happening is you pick up this cursed necklace.
Oh, I love that one. I know what you're talking about. It's amazing.
I've got to say spoilers first, but like I got early on, and I think it was glitched or something at the time because it's not as bad from what it used to be. But at the start, every time you killed somebody, you'd hear, "Heroes don't kill people."
It's true.
It
was awesome.
These constant things, and it was glitched for me because it also locked up my ability bar. So I go like I kill a skeever. It's like heroes don't kill people, and also I'm like I can't kill the second skeever. It's killing me. Oh crap! I gotta run away. It was just causing it. Finally, it just drove me insane. We're like I gotta complete this quest, and maybe they talked about introducing something like that for the justice system, and I think that would be awesome. Like if you're going on a killing spree, all of a sudden, like maybe the voices just start crying in your head. Why did you kill me? I was just
so this is how you get trolled by your guild leader. He goes, "Hey Engwar, I'm gonna share a quest with you. Just don't worry about it." I'm like, "Dude, that's like a level 50 quest. I'm not gonna." He says, "Just keep it in your quest log. It's a hard quest to get. You're gonna love it when you get to there." Okay, questing along. Did someone say something? What the hell was that? Thanks.
Yeah. I remember. I love that. I didn't realize that was a quest at the time, and I'm sitting there going through, and I'm like, who the hell is talking? And I was typing in guild chat, I'm like, does anybody else hear these voices? And they were like, what voices?
I started typing, like, what the hell is going on? And then I love how the quest ends. You go and talk to the guy, and then he's like, oh, thanks. So I guess I shouldn't have made this. Here's a ring. I'm like, nothing's probably cursed. Well, hell, no. I'm not taking. I'm like Fender.
Yeah. So, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna. I think I really wish that I had never gotten rid of that quest because it was so amazing. And
well, I love to treat people with it. Just like here. That's why I made sure to get it. I got on my night plate, and I'm not dropping it. I'll just be like, "Welcome to the game. Here's a quest for you."
Well, see, as a vampire, the things that they say to you in your head makes perfect sense. So I just keep it because of the lore-wise. It's just awesome. I love it.
Well, that's the thing. I love a lot of quest designs. There's a lot of unique quests inside this game that are just fun fluff like that one, where it's just like I've never encountered a quest like that where it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I think that's probably like the best quest in the game in terms of remembrance.
Okay, so for the chat room, it's in Gratwood. It is there's a like a guy. It's like a dead guy hanging on. Is he a scarecrow or something like that? Yeah, he's a skeleton that's hanging up, and there's a necklace around him or a medallion, and you take that. Yep.
Yep. That's all we're saying. No spoilers.
Yeah, it's amazing though. It's amazing. And don't finish the quest. Just take the medallion and keep it forever.
Yeah.
Don't finish it. Yeah.
And you gotta make sure to have your sound turned on. That's the key point. If you have your sound turned off, it's not gonna bug you.
Okay. Out of all the games in existence, I know we're going off on a tangent here, but of all the games in existence, why would somebody turn an Elder Scrolls sound off? Seriously, some of the best stuff is either the awesome / terrible voice acting that is in Elder Scrolls game.
Right, if you want to bring up bad voice acting, that stupid tree in Grotwood.
Oh God.
Tree in Grotwood? I'm trying to remember.
Do you not remember that? You go up to the tree and you expect it to be this nice.
Oh yeah.
Voice, and he's like, "Hello."
He sounds like a munchkin. It's great. It's amazing.
Just kind of like at the start, all the Nereids and the Elementals out in Glenumbra. It was you go up to like, oh hi, how you doing? What do you know? They start speaking German to you. You're like, okay, whatever you said. I'm gonna go this way now.
Yeah, that was a funny beta bug too.
Yeah, in beta that happened in live too.
Yeah, that was live.
Did it really?
The tree, yes, the tree was in live, which surprised the hell out of me. I was like, really, this is the voice you're sticking with? Because I played the game in beta, and I'm like, well, okay, this is just a filler voice. This is some dev that or the dev's kid that did the voice of this tree, and they stuck with it. Yeah. So anyway,
all right. So let's kind of bring this back a little bit. Let's go back to the justice system. So just back to the justice system. What is your guys' thought on the pickpocketing aspect? One thing that really stood out to me when I was talking to them was the fact that you're able to pickpocket their underwear that they're wearing.
What?
Really? I must have missed that part.
Yeah, and I
like,
ran ahead, and I was like,
panties, are we talking?
while they're wearing it, and they're like,
the game is rated mature.
Zoolander.
Just
So
Well, okay. So to be fair, though, loincloths aren't like our underwear. You can untie
they
them.
just come off with a rope.
But the thing is, if you can pickpocket the underwear, you can probably pickpocket everything off them.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean,
Nobody's asking the big question here. Why would you pickpocket their underwear?
I would totally do. Like, I mean, could you imagine pickpocketing and then seeing a loot window underwear? Like,
You gonna get a lot of gold for that? Is that
I
gonna
gotta tell
sell?
For achievement, that would be like the thing. Is like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, but
you know what the best
would
thing
you
would
name
be
that
is if you could
achievement?
use it as a costume.
Oh,
Oh god.
So if you find the queen and you steal her underwear,
She doesn't wear any. Okay, well, just because you mentioned the queen,
DC.
you can't intergage in justice system with any name or iconic character. So you can't go around trying to kill Emmerich. You can't go around trying to pickpocket Emmerich or the queen or whoever the EP guy is.
I'm
King?
totally
Jordic?
I'm totally disappointed now.
But since we're talking about that and the fact that you can't do
Wait, you
that,
want the Skull King's underwear, Larry?
Totally.
come on, man, he's a nerd. He doesn't wear
on
those.
the black market.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Thieves Guild would love that.
So anybody who's played Skyrim or pretty much any other Elder Scrolls game will know how much fun it is to kill guards and to just walk around and just annihilate guards. Even if you use a cheat code, it is still fun to do.
They're stupid. They're dumb.
You can't do that in Elder Scrolls Online, and I would like to know your guys' feedback on that. So in the Elder Scrolls Online, they will be buffing the guards to a point where they are virtually unkillable, and they will kill you relatively easily. Do you guys agree to this?
I don't think that's exactly what they said. I think that they will be difficult for you to kill.
Well, we brought up
the
expectation of being able to do a 40-man raid, and they said you probably still can't do it.
What?
Yeah, because they originally said that you won't be able to kill guards, or at least they'll be exceptionally really tough. So I said, well, taking over a city now becomes the new Trials. And they said with 40 people, you probably still won't be able to do it. So I would like to know your guys' feedback. Should we be able to kill guards, or do you think that would be a major grief problem?
Well, I think one of the things is, and they may do it like this way. I can't remember in what. I think it was actually in Skyrim, but like the respawn, it all depends on maybe also the respawn rate. Like if the guards are decently tough, but then they also have an insane respawn rate. Okay, you kill one, they come back. You can't really take over a city because they're just going to keep on coming, where they're never really gone.
Mm-hmm. So you think we should be able to kill them, but have that increased respawn rate?
I think I would go with a system like this, that have a guard at a specific level, maybe even a low level for that matter, and if that guard is attacked, then he calls more guards at your level, and if more people attack that guard, more people come and more other guards come in. So you're in a constant loop of guards. So it grows with the size of the group that is attacking the guard.
So
now
sorry.
But now, unfortunately, though, that does leave a possibility of griefing, or at least griefing groups of people, where they get one thief that's being attacked by the guard, and 10 guys look at their friends and go, "Hey, let's go attack that guard." They go attack that guard. 20
Stealth
guards
to go
show up
away.
and then get out of it.
Never cloak. Bye. Have fun. Oh crap.
A system like that would be really cool, but I'm a technical guy, and I could just see how much lag that would introduce with guards.
No. Okay. So in general, generally speaking, now if you're in a group and you're all flagged, I don't know. I don't know exactly the full implications of it, but generally speaking, it would, and because even with the engine that it has, and I've seen it in the game. I can't think of any quests off the top of my head where one you attack one guy, or one guy attacks you, or a instance starts, or there's a turnover in the story or whatever, and all of a sudden more people pop up. That happens all the time in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not, as far as the engine is concerned, it can absolutely handle something like that. Now, I don't expect it to be like 40-man raid or whatever, come in there and there be 80 guards that suddenly show up. That might be a little bit of an issue, but generally speaking, I don't see that something like that being an issue. And that would be a way to counter because I mean the real problem here is being able to take over a city. You want guards to still be there. So maybe make one guard immune, make that one guard that's attacked, make him immune, but make his buddies not immune.
Okay.
Yeah, because taking over a city, like, I, as a person that's planning on going thief on my main, it's a fun concept, but at the same time, I know it could destroy also the gameplay. It's like when in WoW, Horde, because I was on Mal'Ganis for the longest. Well, I'm still technically still there, just not playing right now. But we'd go and take over Stormwind half the time. Like, we'd set up merchant shops inside Stormwind. It's like, oh, hi, Alliance. Sorry, nope. Because it was 99.9% Horde and 0.1% Alliance. So it's like, you're Alliance? Bye.
Actually, I don't. You know what the thing is, though? Maybe call me crazy, but I don't see a problem with that. I don't see. I really don't see a problem with a group of people, with a group of thieves taking over a city. I mean, it's not going to interfere with the NPCs. They've already said that. All the quest NPCs and whatnot, you're still going to be able to do whatever you want to do. It's that all of a sudden now this one guild of a bunch of thieves now own the city, but still the guards are going to respawn, right? So they're going to have to keep going around and killing them.
What they could do is actually an interesting thing. This just came to my head. Is you have exactly like you said, thieves could take over a city, like almost kind of like a mini, like Garbrac was talking about, where it's almost like a raid. And if they successfully do a certain amount of things within inside the city, like steal a certain amount of things, subterfuge, and then take out the guards, like the guards actually leave and retreat from the city.
Achievements.
Yes. So a group of enforcers may have to come, like, because you're saying all the quests and everything are going to still be there, and the thieves literally, like, the guards will change into thief guards, like the bandits have taken it over, and then the enforcers, if they want that city back, would have to come and try to take back that city at some point. Like a group of people, like, hey, we're enforcers, we have to go back and try to take back that city from the thieves. What do you guys think of that concept?
I just don't see what benefit you're going to have by killing a bunch of guards and just standing around looking at everybody who is not flagged for PvP. You can't attack them, they can't attack you, and just staring at them and waving. I mean, what are you going to benefit by annihilating all of the guards? Just to say that you could do it or get that achievement? Okay.
Yes.
Fine. Cool. But
also the procedure is saying, like, if you had a big enough force of thieves working together, completing like the different things without the city, and go, as this group of thieves, we took over Davin's Watch. So Emmerich's hometown is now owned by the thieves. Stuff is run and controlled by us thieves at this time.
Right,
but they should totally change the dialogue to the random NPCs as well.
Yes.
Well, I have to agree with Engwar. Really, what's the point? I don't really. Yeah, I don't foresee why anybody would want to take over a city, because you can't take over you can't really own the city. The NPCs aren't going to do anything for you. It's just
you're not going to affect any questing whatsoever. So there's no griefing that you're going to be occurring there.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I don't have any. I have zero issue. I mean, it's just there isn't really a point to it other than to say, hey, we did.
Other than the fact you can do it.
Yeah, I mean,
something else you can do.
Honestly, the whole achievement systems are based off of the fact that you can do it, right? Sure. I mean, there's a lot of things that are just completely based off of just because you can do it. Why do you get a I forget the achievement now, but there's certain achievements that you can get for just getting to the highest peak in a certain area, right? So why get an achievement for that? Just because it's there. I mean, that's the only reason, and that's the only reason you really need, right?
No, I totally get that concept and that mind thinking, being an MMO player myself. But I think to bring it back, what you're doing here is you've gotten caught by a guard. can you beat that guard? If you can beat that guard and get away, cool. Yes, you should get that achievement, get those bragging rights. That's awesome. But to come in, annihilate all of the city's guards, what are you proving there? But
so
you can
are
do
you?
it, I guess.
So Engwar, are you on board with what Shaddoe was saying, where they were similar to like what the wolves do in Elder Scrolls Online, where they howl and 2 ads spawn? Like
Totally.
So something
If you want to go through with the act, just to get that achievement, just to go through and get that carrot, we're gonna make it damn hard for you. Absolutely.
Yeah. I have no problem with it being difficult to do. Make it really difficult. I don't think it should be like 40-man kind of difficult, but
that's a little excessive, yeah.
Yeah, but
that's the other part of it. Though. Welcome back. That's the other part of it, though, is you don't only have the guards to contend with. This isn't a single-player game.
Right.
You have other players that are taking on the role of the enforcers. That hey, if I'm an enforcer and I see you attacking a guard, I'm just gonna come up and start poking you. Like I'm just gonna add to that.
In fact, that's gonna die.
That's the poke. That's the best time to be an enforcer is when they're attacking a guard. Really,
that guard is whooping his butt. Oh, he's at 50%. I'll jump in now.
Yep, exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And plus, the guard could stall him, and so you could put on the
throw on the tabard. Yeah,
tabard. I almost said trench coat. I'm like,
well, you mentioned tabard, and I would really love to know your guys' input on this because it really bugs me. I hate the aspect of the tabard. I really think the enforcer tabard should not exist. I understand the need to ensure that whoever's an enforcer is visible and you know he's an enforcer, but it should not take up the spot of the tabard. I still want to represent my guild, even if I want to be an enforcer. I'm not a big fan of the tabard also taking up the costume slot either, because I want to be a freaking skeleton at times, and I want to be able to represent my guild as a skeleton. I want to be a skeleton representing my guild that is trying to uphold the law.
So you want to be an undercover enforcer?
Well, I've just finished writing my article on the justice system, and that's what made me think of this, because I'm not a role player. I try to make backstories for my characters, but they're completely lame, and I just give up and I go cry in the corner. But I made the suggestion that what if somebody wants to be a reanimated skeleton who might have been part of the Lion's Guard, who still feels his duty is to uphold the law? Would that not be an awesome thing to roleplay?
As a skeleton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before you died, you
only if you could take off your head and throw it at thieves. Then I'd be on board with that.
Totally on board with that. Absolutely.
I wrote it, and as I was writing, I'm like, this sounds like fun.
No, I agree with your statement, though, that I don't like the fact that it would take up a tabard slot. That I don't agree with. How do we know that someone is an outlaw? Just because they're red to us and attackable? Is that going to be the only way we're going to know that they're an outlaw?
That's like a giant sun.
Or do we put some kind of icon floating above your head? That's kind of the easy way out, I think.
Well, they have the icons kind of already in PvP. Like you can see when you're posing back. They could maybe do something similar to that, where it's going to be like maybe the enforcer symbol of their head.
That works because the enforcer tabard has its own symbol. Yeah, I mean that definitely works. I would love to see that. Like, do you guys have any other suggestions on like what they could do in terms of, or do you guys like the idea of the tabard taking up that spot?
They mentioned having a costume slot and a tabard slot, right? And so
it's one and the same.
It's something they're looking into.
Right. Well, no, I mean, as of right now, that it's the same.
Right.
Yes.
So, but they said during the meeting that they might consider making it separate. And if they were separate, I would be now. How would this fly with the anti-tabard people making a costume and or a tabard? So you could have there's like a guard uniform that you could wear and then represent your guild.
That
with tabard,
I would totally agree on board.
Or vice versa. You know and
I still want to be able to do. Like I hope when they do that, like separate the costumes, that you were able to dye the costumes, because I want to change the colors of the Man Marco thing. Like Man Marco looks awesome, but I still want to change a couple things. I'm like tweak here, tweak.
Oh yeah, I like the idea of an enforcer costume rather than an enforcer tabard. You can still portray your guild. This is the guild that is kicking your butt, and go from there. Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, that would be phenomenal. Being able to take on the physical, visual role of a guard. That would be cool. And it would also make it unique because, again, I'm a huge vanity person. I love vanity pets and stupid crap that's in MMOs that make me spend money. It would add to my collection of crap that is in my bank that I don't want to get rid of, but really, really should. And with it being an enforcer only thing, I know the Outlaws don't have it, so that just makes me that much better.
Yeah, the Outlaws totally need like patches over their eyes and berets that have the, no, or big black cowboy hats. Either one.
Big cowboy hats. All right, so you guys have anything?
Sorry, I just made a horrible segue for you. Sorry, I'll work on my.
Well, I was gonna say, like, the one thing that I loved was originally when they talked about this at QuakeCon was they talked about localizing like the bounties to each city, and apparently they switched from that to a global justice, which I love the concept of that, because otherwise it'd be like, oh, I murder somebody in this thing. Okay, wait, shrine, I'm safe. I'm in a new city. Where now it's like, wait, shrine, new city. Oh crap, they still hate me. Let me see where do I go from here. You actually like it's gonna give way to more of, instead of like just living from city to city, it'll give way to more roadside banditry as well, like going along the roads and out into the wilderness, where that'll occur out in the wilderness as well.
Mm-hmm. And that I think is probably one of the biggest changes that we talked about, and some of the Skyrim fans were a little upset that in Skyrim you could go from Wayrest to Daggerfall, and well, you know what I mean.
Instantaneously. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the guards didn't realize you were a criminal.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Whereas in ESO, no matter where you go, you could even go to the 50++ zones.
Yep.
And they are aware of your crimes. And some people are like,
well, I don't guess.
I kind of see. I'm not a real huge fan. I mean, I understand why they're doing it, but I'm not a real huge fan of the global system. I think that if they're going to do something like that, turn off the ability to use a way shrine for at least a debuff. Like after you've stolen something,
timed or something,
you get.
I would agree with that, definitely.
Yeah, you get some sort of debuff that says, "Oh, you just stole an apple. You're not leaving this city for 30 minutes or whatever, unless you
30 minutes for an apple."
No, well, honestly, I think that it could last 30 minutes. I would be perfectly fine with that. You just have to, you could still leave. You just take your horse and run and leave that way. But
I'm not gonna hop on my horse in front of a bunch of people and start riding through the city. Hey guys, oh crap, they're chasing me.
It was just an apple, I swear.
Don't kill me! Oh, come on!
So we definitely know what role Shaddoe's taking. He's the enforcer. You're not leaving for 30 minutes, and all the outlaws are like, "This sucks."
Well, I also think, but I think the same should apply to an enforcer as well. Like if you're an enforcer, you can't leave the city. You have flagged yourself for that city or whatever. And I don't want to necessarily say city, because I think city is like they were alluding to, that is really confined. And I think it should be a little bit broader than that, maybe zone or whatever, something along that line. That would be hilarious to see some people, on the edge of the zone going, flagged? Oh, not flagged. Oh, flagged. but
America,
I think
Australia, America, Australia.
Something like that. Yeah, exactly.
In America, we do not tolerate that.
So, yeah, go ahead.
I'm just going to slightly alter the conversation a little bit and put my crafter's hat on here. I know coming down the road, they're going to be changing the way provisioning is done. But 98% of the way I craft provisioning is going through those crates, those sacks, and all of that kind of crap. How is this going to affect me? I don't want to be flagged PvP. I can't stand dueling other people. I hate that when MMOs offer that. But I mean, I know they're changing the provisioning, but are they going to accommodate us, need crafters, and that's going to be the main source of my way I'm going to be getting all of my goods to craft. I mean, that's my kind of concern about that.
That's where the severity of the crime comes in, right? Like, if you're just going around stealing bananas, you're going to be fine. Like, you cannot, as an enforcer, you cannot engage somebody if they just stole an apple. There's that level of severity. So
yeah, but I'm not just stealing one apple. I need grains.
He's stealing all the apples.
Okay, but provisioning mats will fall into that lower category. If you're going around stealing an apple, stabbing a guy, stealing an apple, stabbing a guy, yeah, I'm going to catch on to your little system.
What if the guy's holding an apple, though, and I kind of need that apple?
But
well, the thing is,
the fact that they're lowering the provisioning 50%, though, is going to save you a lot of trouble. Like, I mean, right now there's like 250 provisioning mats.
Yeah, the
which
mats
is
are ridiculous.
Stupid. So the fact that they're going to lower, it's going to make it a little bit easier for you to farm those mats, and the fact that they're making it what you see is what you get. So if you go to an apple, you're going to get an apple. If you go to a crate, you know exactly what you're going to get. And if you open a crate and you see something, okay, I don't want that, just don't take it. I mean, you're not flagged as stealing it unless you physically take it out.
Yeah, but I need it.
Yeah, but that auto loot add-on.
Yeah, you might not want to have auto loot.
That's gonna kill me.
Garbrac, did they say anything like, is it going to be similar to in Skyrim where, okay, there's going to be crates and different things that you can lose and things that you can like that will flag you? So they probably will. My guess is it like that where you're still going to be able to find stuff out in the wilderness and everything? You can still loot and everything, like in the caves, they'll be perfectly fine. It's just when you're in town, you have to be a lot more careful of going into people's houses and just like, I'm taking everything. Oh, hi.
That is so non-efficient for us crafters to have to go to a dungeon, pillage the dungeon, and be safe to get our goods, and then go back to the crafting station or find some fire out there.
You're still going to have that option to take items. It's the option that says steal that's a different subject.
Now here's the other thing though. Here's the other thing though they did mention is that somebody does have to see you do it.
Yes.
Yes.
So that I'm not saying this is necessarily the best thing that they can do. So yeah, so if you put a bucket over your head, you're fine.
So just go to those smaller towns that nobody goes to.
Well, and actually, that is definitely a possibility. I mean, there and plus there isn't going to be guards in every single town and every single place where there. You just have to. Unfortunately, it is going to change the way that things are done. It's going to change the way everything's done. Quite frankly, I think. You can. For provisioning, you have to find those places that don't have any guards that you can go steal from every so often.
Well, the biggest thing that was also presented as well was with the stealing is also like the motifs. Okay, because those are found in a lot of the buildings and everything. Okay, you have stolen motifs. Is it going to be like a black market auction house now? Like they were going to be able to have to put stuff up on like the black market auction house and have other people buy there, or like will we be able to put these things that are confiscated in the guild bank and will people be able to pull them out? Like how is that situation going to work out? There's still a lot of questions.
Well, there's definitely a lot of questions. I know when you steal an item, you have to get to the Outlaw Den, which is basically the underground sewers. That's all Outlaw stuff. And the image they showed us was like this underground sewer labyrinth of things, and the whole walls were plastered with stolen pictures and gold and silver and pretty much a bunch of stuff. And they were like,
Thieves Guild.
Well, the comment the developer made was like, this is not what it's going to look like when it goes to launch because you're able to steal in here.
Oh.
So there's no honor amongst thieves in this game.
Didn't they show you the Thieves Guild logo or something? Said we know.
They showed us the Dark Brotherhood. Yeah.
Oh, the Dark Brotherhood. Yeah.
Because we asked like, where do you guys foresee the system really leading to? And they're like, they didn't say a word. They just clicked. They clicked to the next slide, and it was the hand with "We know." We're like, oh, you bastards! How did you know we were going to ask that question?
I cannot wait for that. I am so going to be Dark Brotherhood.
Well, that's the thing is, it sounds like maybe are they doing like maybe Thieves Guild with the justice system itself and then Dark Brotherhood after?
Well, right now their focus is champion system, justice system. Yeah. I don't think they've even they probably have prototypes of the Thieves Guild and Dark Brotherhood, but they're not anywhere near fruition. But did any of you guys have any other qualms or topics about the justice system you want to throw out there before we say goodnight to these lovely folks that are watching our live stream and potentially on YouTube? Go to YouTube, Gamebreaker.
Oh, I'm excited to have it come online, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, there's...
When is it happening? That's my biggest question. When is this happening?
Do you want me to quote Paul Sage when we ask that question?
Sure, go ahead. What is
when it's ready.
Curse you, Paul Sage! No.
Yeah, right? Famous quote. When do you expect this to launch? When it's ready. Thanks!
Garbrac, you need to get him here next week and stuff for our podcast so we can interrogate him. Like, so when's it coming? When's it coming?
He's very good at being exceptionally vague yet detailed and going around questions.
I gotta say that this is something. Just talking about the whole conference, whatever you want to call it, in general, is they in the past they've been like really closed-mouthed about a lot of things, and they had and I liked. I kind of liked what they were doing here. They were very open about stuff, and they caveated everything with like what you see here and what we talk about isn't necessarily what it's going to be like in game. But then they were saying like, no, but we would have tried to do this. This is our goal. These are things that we're trying to do. This is what we ultimately want to happen in the game. This, what do you guys think of this? That was something that they said a lot. So I like this. Whatever this Zenimax is that I've seen at this or heard at this conference, I want more of this. I want more of this Zenimax than whatever Zenimax was in control before, because this Zenimax is nice and good, and I like them. This is the way MMOs need to be made, and I'm totally on board with that. That's my final thoughts.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree. Like, being at the Guild Summit, I have to say, they were very transparent with what they want to do. And they didn't sugarcoat a lot of things. Like, when we asked them a question, and sometimes when you ask a developer a question, they'll give you a BS answer just to as a filler. They honestly looked at us and said, we don't know. Like, this is still being programmed. Like, we don't know. But if you have a suggestion, we'll take it. And I mean, they were down that, like, the developers were just down writing notes like crazy. So a lot of the feedback we gave them and the feedback that we're given here, I can guarantee they're going to watch. So I'm really excited for what Zenimax has. I don't want to say blossomed, because that's a pretty weird way to say it, but has like grown into. Because when they first announced Elder Scrolls Online, they were very closed doors, very hush hush. And up until it released, they were still pretty hush hush, and they don't really want to release a lot of information because they're afraid of that backlash that is known throughout the MMO community and how people take things to heart.
No.
No, we're nothing like that. But yeah, like I said, I completely agree. I'm so excited for this, and it's off topic, but I've noticed them doing a lot more hot fixes versus waiting for a patch to fix, and I think that is phenomenal.
Yeah, because it's always better to like move the things progressively along during the week, because as like you're saying, community, we're very nice and patient, and we'll wait for people to fix things all the time and stuff. We're one of the calmest people you'll ever meet. Fix it now.
So since we're doing all these sugar cookies to Zenimax, is there anything you want to say about Zenimax there, Engwar? They suck.
No, actually, I'm kind of impressed. Like, I kind of piggyback what Larry's saying. I think what the team is doing and the way they're being so forthgiving about, look, this is what our ideas were. I know they're probably not going to work, but what do you think? I think a lot more teams need to do that in our genre. So, totally agree.
Anything you want to say there, Loomers?
Loomers?
Well, you keep calling me Garbrac. So,
would you like me to call you Garbrac?
It's Garbrac.
Thank you. Thank you.
But yeah, I love, like, believe I said it last week as well and stuff. The concepts are really good. Like, they have all these things, and they're listening to the feedback. Like, if people ever look on the dev tracker, they'll see constantly when people are complaining about, oh, this is broken, this is broken. They're constantly asking, okay, what's going on? Tell us when this happened, where. They're looking for information because they want to fix these issues, and they're trying. And I know, like, a lot of things in PvP, a lot of people are getting frustrated, but and stuff, you can see that they're trying and that they want to fix things because they want stuff. Their heart's in the game, that they want to build a good game for the people that are here, and that's one of the main things that's always good for developers is that they want to build that game for you. They want to make sure that they have a good time in it and that you're having a good time. Because every time I've had to call in, like where I've had issues and I've actually like sent in a thing and then they call you back, like I've actually been able to have conversations with the people on the other end of the phone. They're actually playing the game at the same time. They're like, oh yeah, I love this quest, and I'll actually end up getting to like a half-hour discussion with the person that's actually on the phone that's helping me with a technical issue.
So you're the reason the queues are so long. Thanks.
I've only done it like 4 times, but each time, like this one guy, me and him were discussing Nightblade builds.
So apparently you can call into support and discuss the game just in general. Screw helping people.
That is one of the things I will admit that I also love is, like, if you put in a ticket, that they actually ask for your number to call you back. Like, I have never seen a game that really does that, where they call you instead of you trying to call them, wait for 2 days. Okay, fine.
Yeah, like if I released the article, Champion System and the Justice System comes out tomorrow, I think. I don't know when. But the size of these systems they're huge. Like it's not a small patch. This is like expansion wide updates that they're doing to this game based on what we said. We said the veteran system sucked, and they were like, okay, well, let's revamp it. We said there's nothing to do that engages the player economy, and they're like, okay, well, here's the justice system. This should get you guys engaged with each other. So we really got to give it to them. And I mean, I don't think people understand the scope of the work that is involved with just these 2 simple systems. And I say simple in a generic term. That is nowhere near simple. Just the amount of work that has to go into it is just, it's mind-blowing. Like I can't explain how much work they really have to do to this, and I really think it goes underappreciated.
I mean, the game has been out how long?
7 months?
6, 7 months, and they're completely changing endgame. What MMO does that? Really?
Yep.
It's usually like a year in, and they're like, maybe we should rethink about changing something.
Yeah. And that's usually done with an expansion that you pay $60 for.
Right.
But I mean, we've been discussing the justice system and day 2 of the Guild Summit for just over an hour, almost an hour and a half now. I think we have taken this dead horse and kicked it to mutilation. So I don't think we have anything else to talk about. So I think this would be a good time to sign off for the night. So I want to say thank you to everyone who came out and watched us live. Thank you to everyone who is watching us on YouTube. If you enjoyed the show, give us a like. Let us know in the comments what you think we can do better on, or your favorite part of the show would be really nice as well.
Underwear.
Pickpocketing.
Totally my favorite part.
Pickpocketing.
That's probably going to be the title of this episode, Underwear.
Pickpocketing underwear. There's your title for you right there.
So if you are new to the episodes, we do this every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern or 7:30 Pacific, right here on Gamebreaker's Twitch. So it's twitch.tv/Gamebreaker TV. Make sure you add the TV, because if you don't, you go to some other website. But while you're doing that, definitely check out some of the deals that Gamebreaker does offer. If you go to Gamebreaker.tv, you'll see a little deal button. Click it. You'll see a lot of promotions. There's an awesome promotion coming up, and I highly recommend checking it out this week. I'm not going to say what it is, but it'll be a surprise. So let's go into our shameless plugs of the week. And this is something that I typically do as a host. It's not something you really see on a lot of Gamebreaker shows or pretty much any other podcast, but I love being shameless because I love self-promotion. So let's go to Lumi and see what self-promotion he has for us.
Hi, I'm Lumi. How are you guys? I'm the GM of Elder Scrolls Online section for Gamebreaker Nation. I'm told I'm different. And if you guys want to hang out with us in Gamebreaker Nation, I'm actually having to reinstall ESO because my entire computer had to be rebooted and everything uninstalled. So I'm reinstalling everything. But if you'd like to join us, you can hit me up probably tomorrow evening at LumiTheLock in game, and I'll send you guys an invite. You guys can come hang out with us. We're going to be doing some PvP on Friday, and a bunch of, I think, vet dungeons, if I remember correctly, Landcastle, tomorrow night. But we're always having a good time, always hanging out with crazy people like Engwar and Garbrac, and sometimes I go over to Larry's Mumble and scare him.
It's Garbrac.
Okay, Garbrac.
Let's go down the Shaddoe and see what he has for shamelessness.
I'm not doing anything actually as far as Elder Scrolls is concerned, as far as blogging or anything like that. But definitely, if you want to follow me on Twitter at Shaddoe SHADDOE, I'm also there on Ello. Whatever that ends up being. Follow me there if you happen to be on Ello.
What is Ello?
It's another social media. You've never heard of it? Gosh, get with it.
Get with the times, man.
Because Google Plus was so last year. Anyway, so catch me at Shaddoe on Twitter. You can also follow. I'm also on Facebook at Hyperspace Beacon, which is my blog. Well, you can't really see it because it's cut off. But anyway, hyperspacebeacon.com is my blog. I talk about mostly Star Wars because I don't know if you noticed, I'm a little bit of a fan.
Star Wars.
Let me guess, you're Republic side, right?
Oh, heck no.
All right, so I've lost all respect for Shaddoe. Let's go.
Hey, you can catch me. You can follow me on Twitter at Engwar Forever, or on Twitch. I stream now and again. I like to stream and have fun. I'm not really big into too much social media, but I'm getting there. I'm an old guy. I don't know. What is this stuff?
One day he'll have the Twitter.
What's this social media?
What is this social media stuff?
I got 5
What's
followers.
social
I'm like,
on the internet?
how do I tweet? I'm like, I'm just gonna follow people and see what they say. Oh yeah,
All right.
Garbrac, did you get a winner for your thing today on your Twitter?
No, not yet.
Oh, you should post that then.
I am Garbrac. You can follow me on Twitter at Garbrac. You can visit me on TisoElite.com if you ever wish to. You can follow me in-game at Garbrac, or you can watch me on Twitch TV/Garbrac. Wow, it's all Garbracs. It's all promotion.
Garbrac.
If you play Star Wars The Old Republic, only play Republic, because they're horrible, filthy casuals.
What?
That is all I have for this week. Like I said, tune in next
Of course,
week.
he gets the last word.
Of course I get the last word.
Oh,
We
there
can't
was
say
one other
crap.
thing that I mention Garbrac. Or
Next week, it will be Wednesdays, 10:30 Eastern,
Garbrac.
7:30 Pacific. Lumi is trying to talk to me. Yes, Lumi.
There was one other plug that I forgot to do. Then you can close out.
Okay.
Gamebreaker Nation and a couple other guilds and stuff are coming together to form an alliance of different guilds to continue to build a community. And like I said, my computer's down for right now, but if anybody is interested, please contact me tomorrow in game, like as guild leaders and things, and we can sit down for an interview, discuss and stuff, like, because we want to continue to build a community and work together with between different guilds, having fun in PvP. And so it's just one of the things that I was going to mention today and I almost forgot, but I want to get that out there.
All right.
United Knights of Nern. Yeah, go.
All right. So that's it. We're done. That's our show. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.